the tack that mainstream media is taking, as we see Daily Mail, outsiders, Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen, have swept to victory. So all the political parties and mainstream establishment's been knocked out. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. The mainstream has not been eliminated. The establishment parties have not been eliminated in the first round. We still have the most establishment candidate there. We have a Manchurian candidate there. And if you don't know who this guy is, you need to pay attention. When we look at the rise and the split on the left, because there's a big split on the left, the current sitting president, it's the first time that a French president has not run for re-election that is sitting, okay? So why did he not run for re-election? Well, he's been thoroughly discredited. Why was he discredited? One of the reasons he was discredited was not only because of what was happening with the massive transfer of people, but also because of what Macron did inside his administration. This is a guy who was a socialist. And to give you an idea of this candidate who rose up very quickly on the outside, Mélenchon, who was a real socialist, he was a real communist. He was wanting a 100% tax on income above 400,000 euros. That's about $425,000. So you would be allowed to make money up to 425,000 with increasingly higher tax rates. But once you got to that point, anything that you got over that, the government would take all of it. They said, we want to have, what was the term they had? It was rising. They wanted to have a cap on wages, and they wanted to raise taxes. And I saw that, and it's like, isn't that exactly the opposite of what serves everybody? I want a cap on taxes, and I want rising wages. But they wanted just the opposite because they're socialists, the same people that brought tragedy to Venezuela, are bringing tragedy to Venezuela. Now, currently, France has some of the highest income tax rates anywhere. They have a top rate right now of 45%. And that wasn't good enough for Hollande, who is the current president who decided not to run. He is a socialist, and he proposed a 75% top rate in 2012. The proposal was rejected by the French courts. But you look at this and you say, why would a socialist president who wants a 75% tax rate to cap and to punish people who the rich, why would he pick somebody like Macron as an economics minister? Because Macron came into his administration straight out of Rothschilds. That's right. He's a Rothschild man. He's not an investment banker. He's a Rothschild guy that was put in there. And when we look at what's going on with this and the fact that this socialist president who did not run again, he's thoroughly discredited with his own people, and Macron had a lot to do with that because Macron was pushing the policies of the European oligarchs, people like Rothschild, people like Soros. He was the one who was pushing this. And so why would they bring in a guy when they're pushing for a 75% top rate, and then this guy, Mélenchon, comes out and says, no, we'll do better. We'll be real socialists. We'll go for a 100% tax rate. We'll take everything and give it to the government. There will never be a cap on the government's income. No, we will cap your income. That's what he's saying. When do we ever see a cap on what the government can take from us? No, we won't have that. Now, as we look at what happened with this, and we look at the rise of this particular guy, I think it's kind of interesting. Where did this guy come from? Well, there was an article by a Spectator, and they pointed out that he got out of school. A lot of people don't really know where he came from. He came up very quickly. He was in the socialist administration until last August, and then he got out. But how did he get into the socialist administration? Well, first he goes to school. He gets out, he gets his degree. He graduates from the National School of Administration. He joined the Upper Civil Service. And then in 2008, because he's got kind of what they do now with some school teachers in some places, they'll pay for their tuition, evidently, but you have to do a certain amount of time as a school teacher to get out of your student loan. So maybe there's something like that going on in France, because he had to pay 50,000 euros to buy himself out of the government contract. So he was obligated to stay with the government. He paid $50,000 to get out, and then he becomes an investment banker with Rothschild. And he was, as they say, highly regarded and quickly made a small fortune. And then before long, this guy, who is a banker, who is now very rich and wants all the policies of the bankers and the global elites, gets himself into the socialist government. We'll stay with us, and we'll break down where this led to next with Soros and the rest. We'll be right back. Now, getting back to Macron and the fact that we're told that all the establishment candidates are out. Nothing could be farther from the truth. This is the ultimate establishment man. Back in February 27th, we had an article from Jamie White, Le Pen's Rothschild rival. Muslim mass migration, he said, is unstoppable. He said 2 months ago, Europe must get used to mass immigration instead of resisting it, said the French presidential candidate, Macron. He said, we've entered a world of great migrations, and we will have more of it. Yes, we will, especially if we go into places like Syria and do regime change. That's where it begins. That's where we create the refugees. They don't need a place to live and a job here in America. They need peace where they are. And why doesn't the left talk about that? Very interesting. They should, but they have been taken over by the globalists. They don't really care about that. They want the mass migration of people, and so does Macron. He said, in the coming decades, we will have migrations from geopolitical conflicts that will continue to play, and we will have climate change migrations because the planet is in a state of deep imbalance. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. But we will have migrations because of their wars, and this guy wants to go into Syria as well. So he is all about climate change. He's all about globalist intervention. We had 2 weeks before that, Jerome Corsi laying out the connections between Soros and Google to Macron and the fact that they were fighting on the side of that Google was trying to suppress information about Le Pen's party, launching a program called Cross-Check to censor the news, just as they're telling everybody it's the Russians who are trying to hack the election and put out fake information. They're the ones who are algorithmically censoring our information and being funded by Soros, who himself got a lot of seed money from the Rothschilds. Stay with us tonight for the InfoWars Nightly News at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, and continue on with the live 3 to 5. It'll be coming right up on our feed. Stay with us.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
In ancient times, man roamed the earth in a constant state of hunting or being hunted. Introducing Caveman, where cutting-edge science meets ancient super nutrients. Secure your bottle right now at InfoWarsStore.com.